Hi everyone. Hi, Opa here. Happy May 1st. It's a beautiful night. I'm walking my dogs. It's part of my self-care. We are walking and enjoying the beautiful weather as always. But I want to say May is Mental Health Awareness Month, as most of you or some of you may know. And I want to say that I'm not okay. I am not okay with the state of affairs of how mental health is being handled by professionals or people who call themselves professionals. And I can speak on it because I've worked as a law enforcement officer as well as I work as a psychiatric nurse. And as a nurse, I have endured bullying, hostile work environments. As law enforcement, I have been actually harassed as a nurse and a law enforcement officer. We don't talk enough about the trauma that we endure when we are bullied at work. We don't talk enough about the trauma just alone from a hostile work environment and those people in that environment not being held accountable. We don't talk enough about it. And people who are the victims of this are, if you do speak up, you're the problem. We're told to advocate, not told, we're supposed to be advocating for our patients, right? We're supposed to be helping mental health, and we're actually hurting ourselves by working in environments that are so toxic. I have seen things in the mental health field, both in law enforcement and nursing, that would make you sick, and they make me sick. And when you tell a professional about it, they would say, just take medication. Take medication. Medication is not the answer for a toxic environment. No, it's remove yourself from that environment. But sometimes removing yourself from that environment is not easy, or it's not possible. If you have a job and your family and your life depends on it, how can you just remove yourself from that environment? I was fortunate enough to leave a toxic work environment where my work wasn't being checked. I was being talked about how I look, how I behave, how I work, that I'm too nice. I was fortunate to be able to leave that toxic work environment and become a nurse. And I became a nurse to be able to help others. I even went into law enforcement to be able to help others. And the sad part about it is, a lot of nurses don't want to help others. I'm on a nurse group, like a group online, and the amount of bullying that people endure is sickening. Sickening. The things that people say to their fellow co-workers when we're supposed to be helping each other is disgusting. And it needs to stop. It really does. It's disgusting. So for mental health awareness, I want us to stick together. When you see something wrong, stand up for it. I see a lot of these posts about, the happiest person in the room is usually the one who is the most depressed or who we have to watch out for. That's great and fine, but what are we doing? Are we really watching out for them, or are we making it worse? I don't see anybody watching out for anybody, to be quite honest. I don't see it. I don't see us checking up on each other. And I see when someone speaks out or is enduring things at work or in their personal life that they just can't deal with, I see people making it worse, blaming them, telling them to take medication, right? Sometimes in some cases, medication is necessary. But in other cases, toxic environments, telling the person to go within and take medication is saying that it's their fault when it's not. So let's do better. Employee assistance programs, do better. Stop when someone calls you to say that they're not feeling well because of the things that they're exposed to. Stop telling them to take medication and forcing it on them and telling them that you know best what's best for them. It's not best for them. Okay? What's best for them is for the people to be held accountable for the things that they're doing. In one hospital that I worked in, a nurse pulled my mask down and said, whatever you heard me say about you, I said it, but you didn't hear it. Okay? That's bullying. Don't touch me. Right? But you're afraid to say something because you're new and you're just trying to, learn and do your job and help people. And so in the past year, I've had 10 nursing jobs. 10 in the past year. And when you go on these bullying websites or, these forums, people will say, I was bullied, I was in a hostile work environment, and I don't know what to say on my resume. No, when I go on an interview, I address it. How is the culture in this job? Is there bullying? What do you do to handle bullying, right? What do you do to handle a hostile work environment? And hold them accountable, because when you're going to a job to apply, they need to like you, but you need to like them too, right? And oftentimes, if you bring it up, people will say, oh, well, you don't want to bring up a situation like that in an interview. I don't care. Yes, I do. Because I want to know what the job is like before I get into it, so which will avoid me from having to quit after the first day or the first hour. Because I'm not going to endure it anymore, and neither should you. Especially as a nurse, you have a degree, you can go anywhere, you can do anything, and you're going to stay in a job where people are making you feel terrible just to make money? No. I can go do Uber and make money just as well and be happy. I can sell my books, right? But when you're feeling so down about yourself and you're feeling so terrible and there's no hope, how can you have the strength or energy to do anything? You can't. So people need to do better. People in charge need to just stop checking boxes and acting like everything's okay, or that you're the problem, when it's not you that's the problem. When the people who are doing those things are moving up in positions and becoming heads of committees like ethics committees, and you're not ethical, it's ridiculous. So, it just has to be better. There's got to be a solution. Like, we got to come together and do something. Because if these are professionals, or so-called professionals, and somebody shares a story about bullying on a nurse forum, not me, someone else, or many people have, and people are commenting, well, what did you do to deserve it? What is that? Blame the victim dynamic? Now you make people shut down and feel alone? No, just like the bullies stay together, we need to stay together. We need to stay together and stand up for what's wrong. Stand up for what's right and stand up against what's wrong. It's just not right. And, on my channel, I have a lot of funny things and, things that are therapeutic that I do. But also, my channel was really originally made to be real, to tell and expose the things that happen in the mental health community. Because people need to know. If I'm a patient and I come to the hospital, I want to feel cared for. When I went to the emergency room, they gave me a blanket. They cared about me. They made me feel better, actually, just talking to me and being nice and kind, right? That's the emergency room. That's the medical emergency room. You go to the psychiatric unit, and I know that there are certain rules, but they're talking to you like you're making your situation worse in some places, in a lot of places. In one place that I used to work, there was actually mice in the hospital, and one of the techs, the patient said, I see a mouse, and one of the techs says, you're delusional, you're hallucinating. Like, do better. That's awful. And when you address it, then you're the problem. What are we doing? And that's just one example of so many. So when I worked for the federal government, I left because of bullying. I became a nurse. I was one of the fortunate ones to be able to get out and become a nurse. And I thought that it was going to be better. And instead, it's worse. Instead, in a helping profession where you're supposed to be helping people and healing people, people are broken and people are trying to break down others. But you know what? I am burnt out, but I am still lit. And I got this. And I don't care. I will not stay in any job. After I endured what I endured for years, and I missed out on a pension, and I don't care, because if I would have stayed 8 years or however many more years I had to get a pension, I wouldn't be here probably, because I'd be so physically and mentally drained and sick. And it's, and then I go into nursing thinking that, I can make my money and I can help people, and it's worse. Come on. We have to do better. So for Mental Health Awareness Month, I urge you to speak up, to educate yourselves, to educate others, to treat people with compassion and kindness. Even if you don't change someone's life, even if you just make someone's day a little bit better, it really makes a difference. Try it. A lot of you do, and you should really be proud of yourselves for doing that. But others who don't, really, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. And before, I was afraid to speak out, because when I would speak out, things would happen that would they would try to shut me down. But now I am not going to shut down. I'm going to speak out, and I don't care what happens. I really don't. It needs to be addressed. Let's do better. People are suffering, people are struggling, and we're talking about it after the fact. Oh, this person experienced this, and now, we could have seen the signs. No. You see the signs, and you're calling people crazy, and you're ridiculing people. And so, who would want to go to the hospital to get help? A hospital is supposed to be a place where you care for people, where you help them, not where you hurt them more. And I mean, some hospitals maybe are like that, where they do help, but I've seen a lot of caring and compassionate nurses, but I haven't found a mental health hospital that actually does more help than harm. And it's sad. It's sad. It's sad when a patient comes to you and says, wow, you're such a nice nurse. I wish other nurses were like you, because no, they haven't been nice to me. Like, it's just sad. It's just sad. We should be competing to who could do better, who could help patients more, not competing on, not talking about, people's appearance and people's, that they're too nice, their personality, things like that. No, we should be talking about how can we help patients more? How can we work together to be the best that we can be? That's what we should be doing. Instead of bringing each other down and trying to hurt each other, and then calling people crazy because they don't know how to handle it. That's what we should be doing. So do better. Let's do better. We have the ability to make change. One time when I was in my probation job, and we had a training, and they said, describe your goal in 5 words. I put how I changed the world. And they laughed at me. How you change the world? You can't change the world. Even if I make a little dent in something in the world, even if I make my mark, I'm going to work tirelessly till I do it. I'm not going to change the world. You can't change the system. You can't change the way things work, but you can speak out and you can advocate and you can spark change and make it a small difference, even makes a big difference, right? So, yes. Anyway, the good part of Mental Health Awareness Month is that there's so many dimensions of mental health. There's so many things that we can do to care for ourselves. There are resources out there that I didn't know about, that upon research that I learned about. Some people, yes, they have to go to the hospital. They have to get better. They need to be hospitalized on an inpatient unit, sometimes voluntary or involuntary. But there are many other resources out there. And sometimes going to the hospital for patients is actually more traumatic than not. So, there are respite houses where you can go and, stay there for a few days and just be with a nurse, be with staff, and you have your own room, you have your own time to just relax and clear your mind. Sometimes we just need to clear our mind. We need to nourish our bodies. We need to do the things that we enjoy doing, even if it's for a few minutes a day, like walking my dogs, right? Everybody's different. Earlier, I went to the gym. My old job, they used to talk so much. I mean, I like style, right? I like fashion. I'm a fashion killer, actually, still. I still got it, though. And so my old job, I used to dress up really nice, right? High heels to court, suit, everything, right? Never inappropriate, just nice, presentable, business attire. And they had things to say about it, right? Pink is too cutesy. Your body is not the type of, certain people with certain body types should wear certain clothes. Like what? So, I started to wear clothes that were like 3 times the size of me. Not kidding. I went to the store and bought clothes 3 times the size of me because I didn't want them to talk about me. And they'll always still find something to talk about. But I did that, and in doing that, what really happened was I ended up starting to fit those clothes that were 3 times the size of me because I was so depressed and so upset. And I took it out on myself by eating and spending money and racking up bills, and it just was a vicious cycle because I wasn't happy. And I refuse to let that happen again. So now I'm still dealing with the aftermath years later. But now I'm, doing things that are healthy to deal with it. So developing healthy coping mechanisms, positive coping mechanisms can be so important, right? Talking things out, knowing that you're not the only one going through it, right? So I hope that you are going to enjoy your May, your weekend. It's going to be a rainy weekend, but I am bringing the sunshine in my life. By cuddling with my dogs and by going to the gym, moving my body, eating healthy food. And I also am going to get a women's wellness check. So when I went to the doctor, they said that LabCorp offers women's wellness blood work and urinalysis just to see about your health. And you don't need insurance to do it. You can use your HSA card to do it. And it's a hormone test and blood work and urinalysis just to see where your health is. And I feel like it's necessary. So tomorrow I'm doing that, taking care of that. And I am going to work on my book, fixing some edits on my book. I have some journals that I made and I created. So I use these negative things that happen, these negative intentions, and I turn them into positive interventions. So I'm actually, the things that I've always wanted to do, such as do a clothing line, I did. I have an Etsy account now. I have journals that I made and authored. I have 3 of them so far, 1 more coming out. I have 2 books coming out. So I'm going to be speaking out and doing this until things change, right? So I'm going to take it upon myself to, take my power back and speak out. So join the movement, burnt out but still lit, okay? And like, comment, share, subscribe if you can. And I will see you soon. Have a great night. The Bully Brawlers say bye. Bye, babies. We love you.